welcome to Barley and Me. I'm your host, Ben Rice. This is episode 112. We're here today in San Diego, California. That's right. That's a Barley and Me first. Never done that, so thank you guys for doing this. We're here today at Karl Strauss Brewing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with us today, we've got Paul Segura from Karl Strauss. He's the brewmaster and R&D guy.
What's up?
And then also, special guests, since we're here for Collabapalooza, one of the collaborators, it's Thorn Brewing. With us, we got Doug Pominville.
Hello.
And also Jay Jones.
Hey, that's me.
Hey, guys, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for flying down.
Yeah. This is going to be a two-part question. Usually it's a one-part question. It's the same question I ask on every episode. How's business at? Let's start with Thorn Brewing.
Thorn is great. Actually, we're coming up on our 8th-year anniversary in our original location in North Park, which is a little community here in San Diego. That's going to be in December. And we're actually coming in 7 or 8. I believe it's 8.
Who knows how many years people have been, yeah. What is time?
And then we're also celebrating going to be our 2nd anniversary at our large production facility down in Barrio Logan, which is another little neighborhood here in San Diego. So,
where'd you guys jump up from as far as?
So we have a little 7-barrel system in our original location in North Park, and now we have a 30-barrel system with lots of very, very big tanks. I'll let Doug explain what all those are.
Yeah, so we have a 4-vessel Mark's Brew House that they sell as 30-barrel, but it's really 40 barrels.
Oh, nice.
And then we have 6
It's a nice
120. Oh, yeah. It's really nice. Nice automation. Makes it easy. Steam jacketed so we can do multiple steps. It's got 6 120-barrel fermenters, 3 60-barrel fermenters, 120 bright, 60-barrel bright, and then a small 15-barrel R&D tank.
Nice. And you guys are doing a lot of expansion also, right? You guys got a few spots going?
Oh, yeah. We just opened up a tasting room in Mission Hills. Jake can actually talk more about that. He's the tasting room manager, so he oversees Barrio and Mission Hills.
That is very, very true. Yeah, I did sales for Thorn for about 3.5 years, and I just recently transitioned over to running our tasting rooms. Yeah, so we just opened up a brand new tasting room in Mission Hills, another nice little neighborhood. Thorn Brewing Company, we always like to call ourselves San Diego's original neighborhood brewery because of our original location in North Park, but each tasting room that we have is actually very much centered in a nice little small little neighborhood, and we're really built and designed to pour beers and enjoy beers with our friends and our neighbors here in San Diego.
All right, so I noticed a shots fired statement here. You said you've been around for 8 years, and you're San Diego's original neighborhood brewery.
That is correct.
Paul?
Yes.
Karl Strauss has been around for longer than that?
30 years now.
And also is in San Diego?
Yes.
And focuses on the neighborhood, as you have also got several areas.
We have 10 brew pubs and this large production brewery where we're at now. Yeah. And I think it might be a stretch to say we're in neighborhoods, though.
That's very true.
So I don't want to, steal Thorn's
I just like
thunder on this.
Like San Diego's only been known for beer for about 8 years. You're right. Nobody's really thought about San Diego prior to that. I just want.
But there is a different vibe. Every neighborhood's a different vibe. But yeah. When we opened up our downtown Karl Strauss location on Columbia Street, we originally called it Old Columbia Street Brewery, and just like they did with Thorn Street. But that area was mostly businesses, the courthouse and all that stuff, a lot of legal people. So it wasn't a neighborhood per se like Thorn's places are.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, they've got people living in close proximity to their place.
Because it used to be like you could only brew in like a commercial area.
That is correct.
And now they're finally you can kind of be in a neighborhood. Fair point. All right, Jay, I'll give it to you.
That's really kind of what we're, because if you go to our original location in North Park, it's in an old craftsman house. Like we really, literally built out an old craftsman house. We have neighbors all the way around us, across the street next to us.
A really nice vibe. It feels like when you walk in, you're kind of at your friend's basement drinking beers like you were back in high school, college. So it has that nice feel that you're in a neighborhood.
Like your mom's living room.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, where's the meatloaf?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot my California beer history there and made myself look like a fool, which only happens 2-3 times an episode, so off to a good start.
Brother. No worries.
So how are things here at Karl Strauss 30 years in?
30 years in, we're stoked to still be loved and still be relevant in the community and still be growing. What else could you ask for? It's San Diego is the beautiful place to live and beautiful place to make beer, and it's like this year round.
All the
time. It's like 70-something degrees right now. It's
73 since I got here.
So it's perfect beer drinking weather, and there's good surf and hiking and everything else. And And there's a cool beer scene because there's guys like these guys.
And there's guys like you, Paul. Because Karl Strauss, honestly, is a beacon, a leading light when it comes to San Diego craft beer. I've been in San Diego craft beer for coming on 25 years now, which is pretty insane.
That's insane.
I've known Paul for a better part of 20 years. And Strauss is one of the most important, if not the most important brewery, I think, in San Diego. Just in the consistency of product, the way that they've, especially when you talk about beer like Red Trolley, which really it counts for more people drinking quality craft beer in this town than any other beer.
Yeah.
Period.
Strong words.
The Amber Lager is a phenomenal beer that you're not going to find a better made German lager in this town than Karl Strauss Amber Lager.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Until Doug opens up his new place. Not your Doug Hasker.
Too many Dougs. I got to meet another Doug tomorrow, so let's differentiate the Dougs.
Which Doug are you meeting tomorrow? Oh, he's got his notes.
Hasker, Constantiner.
Constantiner Society. They're making great beers too, man.
Yeah.
You're going to like that guy.
Yeah. Under pressure.
No worries.
Just wilting in this heat. It's just driving me crazy. It's so cool right now. You guys, it's nice because you guys possibly are single-handedly keeping the amber alive with the red ale.
Well, I mean, we have the amber and we have the Red Trolley, two different beers, and Red Trolley actually took over as our best seller. At least a decade ago, and it's still like chugging along. It's still doing pretty well. It's a beer that appeals to a broad audience. It's a beer that pairs well with a bunch of foods, and it's easy drinking. And I don't know, people just dig that beer.
It's just an amazing beer. I actually had the opportunity to work for Karl Strauss myself many moons ago. I worked at the old Columbia Brewery there, I bartended and managed down there. And La
Jolla too, right?
Say that again?
Weren't you at La Jolla too?
I was at La Jolla for a little bit and the Brewery Gardens.
Okay.
But I credit a lot of my beer knowledge to Karl Strauss. They're a very in-depth training program when it came to the employees, especially back in the day when they were a little bit smaller. I spent a lot of time here in the home office before this was actually turned into a tasting room, just learning about beer, learning about off flavors, hanging out in the lab, just doing all those things. So a lot of my knowledge base is based, thankfully, on my experience at Karl Strauss.
Yeah.
20 and 25 years ago, there wasn't the craft beer scene that there is now. So we had to, have guys like Jay who kind of knew what they're doing, educating people about beer and why it tastes so good and fresh and pairs well with food and everything else, I mean, that education thing is ongoing. We
always.
Still are it hasn't stopped. 30 years in, it's still,
as crazy as beer's gotten, it's still not everybody knows styles and how things pair together, how things work even.
Right.
I feel like I'm learning every day still, no matter what. You know what I mean? Thankfully, I got a wonderful head brewer in Doug, and then obviously hanging out with Paul all the time and hanging out with a lot of the other San Diego brewers. I'm constantly learning new beer styles, new ways of going about brewing beer. I'm not a brewer myself. I sell the stuff. That's always been my thing. I let the brewers brew and let the salesmen sell, and I sell.
But you got to know what's going on in order to sell.
Yeah, you really do.
And he's one of the best.
Nice.
I mean,
hardest working man in sales.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude's everywhere.
Yeah. I try.
Yeah, and speaking of learning from other brewers and seeing what's going on, we're actually here to talk about Collabapalooza.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
2019.
Top 2 favorite festivals, and it's only the 3rd year.
Only the 3rd year.
Yeah.
Hands down, my favorite beer festival of the year.
We intend to keep it going, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be the last one.
There's so many festivals, you kind of get tired of them, but there's only 2 I care about: Collabapalooza and Brewbies. And
Brewbies. I thought you were going to say Guildfest. That's another kind of okay.
No, nobody cares about that.
Nobody cares about that.
No.
That's kind of sad.
Guildfest.
So tell me about Collabapalooza. What is it? How does it work? Why did you do it?
Well, it's a collaboration festival, and it's
only
open to San Diego craft breweries.
Nice.
And like I said, this is our 3rd year doing it, and this year we've got, I mean, it gets bigger every year, but this year we've got over 60 breweries and over 100 different beers. And the beers are beers you're never going to have ever again. They're one-offs. They're collaborations between guys like Doug and myself, and they're usually crazy.
Yeah.
And ours is no exception to that.
What'd you guys come up with?
Well, let Doug talk a little more about that.
Because in my head, when it comes to collaborations and stuff like that, you're going to get a lot of pastry stouts, a lot of hazies, and the new hot thing, Kveik yeast. IPAs.
You're going to see a lot of that.
A lot of that. Is that safe to say, do you think?
I can definitely see that. There'll be plenty of...
But it's also going to be like cool lagers.
The one we're drinking right now is a Kveik IPA. That was brewed with AleSmith.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, they're one of the better breweries in San Diego as well. And they've got some guys that have been around a long time and really know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know their way around hops.
They do.
Yeah.
They do everything well.
Yeah, they really do.
They don't make a bad beer.
Yeah.
They win medals for ESB, and who even brews an ESB anymore? But, they kill it with that.
Yeah.
Well, some might say that ESB was going to be the beer of 2019, Paul.
And
that some person was me.
I would be stoked.
And it has still not come to fruition.
Do you say it every year?
I've been saying it the last 2 years.
So for the last 5 years, I've been saying this year, Berliner Weiss, all the way. It's happening. It's going to be the thing, and it never happens. But it's still so good. Every time I get one, I'm like, I don't know why this isn't the thing. Every time I drink one.
I feel the same way.
ESBs are delicious also.
I love ESBs.
I do too, man.
Especially when they're made well. That is just such a thirst-quenching beer. That
I had one earlier at Stone. I was like, yes, absolutely. Let's do this.
Paul, I want to ask you about this beer. So I had no idea the whole time I've been drinking this. It's with Kveik yeast. It is extremely clean.
For a Kveik, how is it pronounced? Is it Kveik?
I do Kveik like bike is what I was taught.
Okay.
Sorry, it's my Boston accent.
So, no, it is a little cleaner. It doesn't have as much stone fruit as some of the other ones I've had. And we use just a blend of different hops, like 4 or 5 different hops. It was Simcoe, Citra, Equinaut, and Brew One, which is
and El Dorado, I believe.
And El Dorado, and Brew One was kind of like the weird hop. Like that's kind of a new variety. We haven't used a lot of that.
What's its profile?
Well, it's
I think
we were kind of looking at what we thought was going to be the ester profile for this particular yeast strain. And then kind of trying to match up hops that might complement that flavor. And we didn't really get as much ester production out of the yeast as we thought. So, but the beer still is like super hoppy and dry and refreshing. And it's fun.
Where is that hop grown, if you don't mind me asking?
Brew One?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it a southern hemi or is it a...
No, I think it's a...
German, maybe?
German?
No? Or is it American?
I thought it was Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
I think we've got it surrounded.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on how brews go.
It's actually a Midwestern hop.
It's from Idaho.
Yeah. Spliced with potato. That's why you're getting a little bit of that potato. No, I have no idea. I'm sorry.
No.
This is what I do.
What are you
Just
getting out of this
bury
beer? I do get a little bit of a fruitiness there, like an orangey.
I'd love to answer that question, Paul, but I drank mine already.
Oh. Can't help
but
it.
It was quite delightful.
Yeah,
it's
nice got a
and
little
dry.
bit of orange marmalade. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's got a pleasant hop. You can't pick out one hop variety there.
Right. It's a
just
blend.
got a
No,
pleasant
and we
hop.
even got a little hint of grass and herbs in the back, too.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's got some bite, but it's also kind of flat
Yeah.
as far as it's like a rounded hop flavor.
So, like the guys at AleSmith, Ryan Crisp and Peter Zinn those guys are savants when it comes to brewing and blending hops and all of that. And so it was exciting for us to do a brew with those guys. We've been friends forever.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about Collabapalooza is
Hanging out with friends.
Yeah, you've known
what you're
these
doing.
dudes for like 20-some years, and we've never brewed a batch together, and it just kind of gives people an excuse, if anything, to kind of, I've known these guys for a long time. Like Jay said, 20 years.
20-plus years now.
And I've always respected what they do as a brewery, as a brewer. They're good, like, neighbors in the community. They're friends with everybody, and they make great beer, and I was excited to brew something. And I think Doug and I were having beers at fall, perhaps, when we came up with like
It could have
this
been
idea
fall,
to brew this beer.
I thought it was.
Where
I
were
thought it
we?
was right after we did beer for
91X,
breakfast.
yeah?
We did beer
Was
for
it after
breakfast,
that?
and then we went over to the brewery gardens, and we were just
Oh,
having a couple
that's right.
pops.
I mean, that was a good 6-9 months ago at least that we were talking about this, and we kind of put it off because there was a seasonal specialty item we wanted to put into the beer. Paul talking about one of his favorite cereals as a child, and it was Count Chocula.
Okay.
So I was like, let's do a beer with Count Chocula, but I
Very
guess we have to
specialty
wait.
malt.
And then it was just perfect timing that it was going to sync up with Collabapalooza.
Oh, weird. Very coincidental.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing ever. By the way, Doug got a hold of like 24 boxes of Count Chocula. So
over 30 pounds of Count Chocula. I found out that if you go on Target.com, they will next day ship it to you for free. And I go, what?
So is there any preparation to getting this malt going? The sugar going? What?
A little bit.
There were a lot of different malts.
a lot of adjunct specialty malts and alternative sugars added to this beer.
Yes.
So did you have to prep it, though? Like, what did you have to do with the Count Chocula in order to get it in that beer?
The Count Chocula was very simple. We just had to open the box,
and
rip open the bag, and dump it in.
Okay, right into the mash tun.
All right. That's what I was wondering. Like, did you guys just hammer it down?
There was a second edition, too.
Okay.
We stuffed our bag filter full of cereal and filtered the beer through our fermenter, through the Count Chocula and into the bright. As a second edition on the cold side.
That's why I love this guy.
Yeah. Now, what do you think that did for your beer?
Oh, it's just adding a little bit of fermentable sugars, definitely on the mash side. I mean, it's corn and wheat based, usually the cereal. Then there's going to be some vanilla, some sugars, and other stuff added to it. So fermentable sugar definitely has cocoa powder in it too, so adding more chocolatiness to it. Marshmallows being a lot of vanilla, I think it's evaporated milk of some sort, and then sugar as well. And I swear when the beer, before we added coffee and a few other adjuncts, I swear I could taste the Count Chocula in the beer. It was like, I could get a little bit of the cereal flavor and definitely some chocolatiness on it.
So did you set some aside, just be like, let's just see what it tastes like without all these additions? Just a straight up Count Chocula?
No, kind of had to go since it was already in the mash. And
all right.
Then had to spice the tank as we go.
I just got to check to see if there's anything lying around, little variants going.
We're going to actually do some fun variants with it for San Diego Beer Week.
5 different variants.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I have someone into something. Good job, me. Deductive. Got my detective's nose going, smelled it, knew what was going on.
We should probably kill the beer we're drinking so we can tap into that bottle right there.
Right, cheers, good point.
Cheers, bottoms up. Cheers. Prost. Sconce, skull.
I would use your keychain, Paul, but
yeah, go for it.
I am going to use my
that one's nice.
My old Chargers one. Rest in peace, San Diego Chargers.
I think I'm going to actually switch to being a 49ers fan now.
Oh, really? Boy.
Well, they're 5-0 now.
Okay.
Oh, man.
They've got the second most handsome quarterback in the NFL, too.
Yeah. After decades of the same thing. That's fine.
Yeah, we got a Patriots fan over here.
Yeah,
Ooh.
All right, so.
Oh, Doug, yeah.
I'm trying to swirl it around to kind of get the.
Oh, thanks.
So there were food grade sparkles or glitter that was added to it as well. Hence the name Countess Sparkula.
It's a little there. All right.
Oh, man. There's a huge cocoa nose coming off of it.
Light on
God.
it. You could definitely.
All right, I got to.
So what did this weigh in at? 11.5?
11.7%.
11.7.
Oh, my God. This might give me diabetes. All right.
This is straight up crunk juice.
I'm almost scared of it.
Oh, I'm very, very scared of it. Running my tasting room tonight as we release this. We're going to be keeping an eye on a lot of people tonight.
Yeah. A little babysitting.
Yeah.
So just a few of the things that went into this beer. It's kind of a pastry stout, but it's also about 5 other stouts at the same time. I mean, it's a coffee stout, an imperial stout, an oatmeal stout. So we decided to call it a breakfast stout.
Yep.
I mean, it's got oatmeal and brown sugar, Tahitian and Madagascar vanilla beans, coffee, lactose, Count Chocula, and cocoa nibs.
Oh, my God.
What do you think? Cheers, by the way.
That is very Count Chocula. All right, you nailed it as far as what you were going for.
Cheers.
Oh, and can't forget the glitter. Lots of sparkles.
Yeah. Just dribbling down.
Oh, that's good. Wow.
Oh, boy.
I like the mouthfeel on it. It's not super viscous.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And it finishes. The
you would
coffee
think it
doesn't
would
overpower it.
Yeah.
It finishes more cocoa than coffee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really thought it would just stick and just be like never out of your mouth, but it's not really having that problem.
1 1/3 pounds of coffee per barrel. Cold steeped for 2 days in the beer. But we selected one that had chocolate and caramel notes anyways to complement it, a lighter roast. Always tried to find a coffee that will complement the beer. You don't want to always go like super dark roast, char heavy.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to go nutty and earthy.
Oh, yeah. Or if like you
fruity.
want to do like an IPA, definitely fruity, like an Ethiopian, some blueberries.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is nice. Have you guys thought about doing like a sleepover as part of your event? You know, and you wake up and you have.
We actually brought some cots out for tonight's.
You might have to.
Hills, yeah.
This
so
is
it's good. I'll take plenty of selfies though, so it'll be fine. So it'll be documented.
You're 25 years in the business. You don't look like you're that old. You probably got in there young, so you probably are still like in a stage of adolescence.
I'm 44. I was very blessed to get into San Diego beer when I was about 19 years old. My original mentor and practically my father's a gentleman by the name of Louis Mello, who really got me into craft beer. He used to own a bar called the Liars Club, which is one of the legendary beer bars in San Diego.
Shout out to Louis.
And I was very, very fortunate. I never had to drink bad beer. I started drinking really, really good beer right away.
2 years later, that's what I heard.
When I was 21 years old, I got a job at a little brew pub in downtown San Diego called Baja Brewing Company, and it's no longer there.
I remember that place.
But the guy who happened to be brewing there was a gentleman by the name of Kurt McHale, who ended up brewing at Pizza Port in Melbourne there for a little while.
Nice.
Their sister kind of brewery, the gentleman by the name of Tommy Arthur, you may have heard of him.
No
was
idea.
Brewing there. And then ironically,
lost the name.
The Tommy Arthur.
Yeah.
Sorry, you might know that one.
Yeah.
And then across the street at a brew pub called Hops and Hang Ten, I guess at the time, was
Never heard
a
of
gentleman by the gentleman by the name of Paul Segura was the head brewer, and his assistant was a gentleman by the name of Chuck Silva.
Man.
So basically, on that block, when I was 21 years old, learning how to drink beer, I got to hang out with those guys. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
That's the wonderful thing about San Diego is thankfully none of these amazing brewers have ever left.
Yeah, they've just gone and done their own things, which is
keep
very
doing
cool.
more and more, better and better stuff.
Well, Kirk McHale left.
Yeah, he did leave.
And Chuck kind of left. I mean, he's just up the coast a little ways, but
yeah,
just like the
I
Chargers.
miss snuggling with him.
Yeah, I miss Chuck too. Shout out to Chuck.
He was the small spoon.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely the small spoon.
Yeah.
I think he probably still is.
Yeah, that's San Diego's beer history is insane. Now, out of curiosity, you're 20 years in, Paul. Would you have ever...
20 years at Karl Strauss.
20
I was
years
with
at
a
Karl
couple of other breweries.
37 years in. 48 years in. When you were a man of a certain age...
I'll take that.
Would you have imagined making this beer we're drinking? Would this have been a thing you would even consider when you were starting out?
When I started out, my first commercial brewing job was in 94. So it's 25 years in now.
Yeah.
And we brewed Russian Imperial Stouts back then, like only during the wintertime.
Right.
It's hard to drink one of those
in the
when
summer.
Especially in Phoenix.
Yeah.
That was my first gig. But we did Russian Imperial Stouts, and we would add one thing maybe, like raisins or something like that, or brown sugar, or whatever, molasses, but we wouldn't add Count Chocula and coffee and all of that. Like all the stuff that we're doing today has only been around the last, 15 maybe years. Yeah. 20 or what. Count Chocula, I think we're the first ever to do that. Kind of proud of that.
I know of, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Thorn is notorious for doing things like that.
So if Doug had time traveled back to 94 and said, hey, I've got this idea with your stout, I'm going to add Count Chocula, would you have kicked him out of your facility?
Yeah, I would have said, smoke another one, man.
I probably would have kicked myself out of my brewery just 3 years ago. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, you could go back 2 years, sparkles are being added. Get the
walk
away.
Doug and I, I don't know. The sparkle thing, I've seen it.
I'm going to. This was a terrible mistake. You guys, it's an affront to beer. No, this is wonderful. I'm mad about it. How good it is, because it shouldn't be.
That's what I like people to do, just get mad that it tastes good.
Just get mad, baby.
Yeah.
Why does it taste so good?
Why is it so good? Yeah.
All I did was show up on brew day. Doug took care of this beer, man. This is all him.
What was your collaboration? Just the space?
He did all the groundwork.
Okay.
Paul did a lot of the labor-intensive work. He was cutting the bags open, milling them all. He was mashing out with the rakes.
Boy.
He brought breakfast burritos, I believe.
That's important.
That's the key to any good collaboration is breakfast burritos here in San Diego.
And we also took a walk during a 3-hour boil and got some tacos for lunch. And it was a good brew day.
It was perfect. Like, all right, start the boil. You don't have to be back in like 2-3 hours. We'll be fine.
Yeah. It was a good day. It was one of the better collaborations I've ever done.
Nice. That's wonderful.
It's very nice of you to say.
It's the truth.
Now, when I bring
Jay wasn't around. That was good.
Yeah, when I bring AleSmith over, they'd be like, "It's the best one we've ever done." Is this just what we're gonna do? Anytime somebody puts a mic in your face, best one I did ever, by far. 25 years in the business, this is the best I've ever done. Every time.
Well, I mean, there's.
Well, yeah, because as soon as he does the next one, that one's the best.
Right? Exactly. Each one I've done was the best.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's your favorite beer? The one in your hand. It's the same thing. What's your favorite collaboration? The one I'm drinking right now.
Exactly.
What's the best beer? The freshest beer. That's the newest one you've done.
Yeah. That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know how this goes.
I do. Playing the game, but also very good. So,
Glitter is mesmerizing.
How much back and forth was there on this sales pitch of a sparkly Count Chocula beer? Well, just like, I'm going to do this. And like, sounds great. Let's find a time.
We were just doing it, talking about it over beers. We know I've never really done a pastry stout. I don't think Paul has really done a pastry stout. But we're like, hey, we can do one. Why not? Show these kids we know how to do it as well. And we talked about it. It's like, well, my favorite cereal is Count Chocula. I'm like, I love it too. Let's put it in there. So we already knew the time frame. We had to wait till the fall. Then from there, we're just going back and forth in emails, figuring out what else we wanted to put in it to try to accentuate the flavors in the beer. And it was kind of an easy sell for sales. And we said, hey, we want to do a pastry stout, and we want to have Count Chocula and glitter. Like, wait, I don't know about it. They're like, it's with Paul. Like, oh, yeah, let's do that 100%.
Nice.
I'm glad I was able to help that.
Immediately when you do something weird and then you tag Paul to it, they're like, oh, now it has some credibility. All right, I'm going to try it.
So all the San Diego brewers listening, just know if you want to have a weird beer out there, just call Paul.
Just call Paul.
Better call Paul. It's a new beer podcast.
Want to do a weird beer? Call me.
Yeah.
I've done some pretty weird beers. It's been a lot of fun, man, I have to say. The last 3 years. Each year I've done 4 or 5 collabs just for Collabapalooza. And... You know, I've never brewed with Doug, so I really kind of cherished that day. But I'd also never brewed with, Troy from Belching Beaver. And by the way, I've got a couple cans that I guess we still need to taste here as well.
Oh, boy.
And then Calculated Nonsense, which was another beer that I brewed with. It was kind of a 3-way with Helix
Menage
Brewing.
a Brew?
What?
Menage a Brew?
Menage a Brew, yeah.
Shout out to Tom Kiley.
So the other one was with Helix and with Bitter Brothers. So it's a 3-way.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good
I love Bitter Bill. I really, really enjoy
Tyler
it.
Tucker is a good dude.
And Tyler's a great guy.
Yeah.
I really never heard of her.
And
never heard of her. Yeah.
Cameron Ball from Helix is kind of a good dude, too. Not kind of. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's handsome.
But I never brewed with either one of those guys, so it was really fun.
And that's the point of Collabapalooza.
And the other thing is, okay, so...
Did you learn anything? What did you learn, Paul?
I used a type of yeast I'd never used before, this Kveik strain, which is different than the Kveik strain that we used on
the
AleSmith collab. So I think we used the Voss strain on the AleSmith collab and the Hornindal strain on the Helix and Bitter Brothers collab.
Just hearing those two names, I'm going to say that the Hornindal sounds better. If you're going to use a Norwegian yeast, it should be a Norwegian name.
I thought the Hornindal was fruitier, a lot more stone fruit. The Voss was a little bit cleaner and more flocculent. I mean, we're really nerding out right now, but...
Do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never heard of either one of these two yeast strains. I've been doing this
I just thought it was one strain. Now there's two.
I'm fascinated by this.
You guys want to try this beer?
I mean, we might as well.
Let's pop it.
Uh-oh.
Also, if you see this is mesmerizing as hell to just swirl this and then stir in the glass and watch the glitter swirl.
Oh, nice.
Very true.
All right. So we still have these glasses we can pour into.
This episode of Barley and Me is brought to you by The Art of Beer. Tickets are on sale now for the 8th annual Art of Beer Invitational, happening on January 24th, 2020 at the McClellan Conference Center in Sacramento. Enjoy unlimited pours from more than 40 craft breweries, food samples from local restaurants, plus an art gallery and silent art auction featuring artwork donated by the participating breweries. The event benefits Make-A-Wish, Northeastern California and Northern Nevada. Get your tickets at artofbeerinvitational.com. Barley and Me listeners can get $5 off by using promo code BARLEY5. That's artofbeerinvitational.com using promo code BARLEY5. The Art of Beer returning January 24th, 2020.
Ooh, it's a hazy, huh?
It is hazy.
Nice.
I did hold back a little bit on that pastry stout, too.
You didn't put any nuts in there.
It finished at 11 Play-Doh, not like 16 or 17.
Oh, man.
Wow. The brew day was amazing. The funniest thing was seeing all the marshmallows from the cereal just like floating on top of the mash tun.
Did they eventually dissolve or know what's going on?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Once it all got mixed up, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. Was it a mess to clean out?
Oh, not real.
Nice.
Not really.
It
We have
grained out pretty quick.
a great grain delivery system and getting that out.
Oh, smells
So you
great.
can, like, when you stir up the beer, there's a little bit of sparkles that are kind of floating around in there.
I think I got most of it in the last pour, unfortunately.
Kind of got to agitate the bottle before you pour it.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
Is that why that
artwork.
was
Like,
happening? Okay.
I love the label artwork
These
too.
got
behind-
bottled yesterday, and they've been sitting in the cold box, so overnight they settle
Settle
out. So for our 6 stools, we keep them upside down like a hef,
Yeah.
and then they flip them over when they tap them.
Nice. Okay.
Who did the artwork on the label? It came out really cool.
Our graphic designer, Nina.
Looks like something from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That was my thoughts too. As soon as
I
I,
like
looked,
that
I'm
a
like,
lot.
kind of Rocky, not a Rocky Horror Picture Show, so it's kind of good with it being October, spooky season.
Yeah.
I liked it.
We're in Halloween season.
Yeah.
Jay's got his mask on.
Wow.
Wow.
I'll take my mask off when you take yours off, bro.
This beer smells amazing.
This
Shout out to
smells
Rocky Dennis on that one right there,
incredible.
so.
It's got an interesting nose.
Loving that pine.
It's a little chalk from the yeast, but it's a lot of stone fruit. Little orange.
Oh. All right.
I get apricots and like ripe peach.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And we
Star
used
fruit.
a lot of hops, a boatload of hops. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's
A few hops.
over 5 pounds per barrel or something like that.
Wow.
It
That's
was
it?
crazy.
Expensive brew.
Well, I
Is
mean,
that just dry hop?
to Karl Strauss's standards, that was. Not to Thornston. Wait, you guys enter beers into the Alpha King, don't you?
Yeah.
So you
we
guys
did.
know about like 10 pounds per barrel.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, we still in
I
place.
think one of the 7-barrel batches we did at North Park for Alpha King, it had a green tint to it. It had so much hops in it.
Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll.
Whole lot more, Phil.
Is that what the beer's called? It's going to be called Borophyll? Do it.
It's called Bora down the drain is what it was. That did not work as well as we'd liked. Double Dry Magic Boots was amazing. It's still on draft at all of our tasting rooms right now. You should come by sometime if you're here in San Diego. Please come
Ever
by.
the salesman.
Paid advertising.
Right
Jay
into
Jones.
it.
So when we brewed this batch of beer together with Bitter Brothers and with Helix, the brewer at Helix was like, okay, we're done boiling, but let's like, take the wort down. Let's run it through the heat exchanger, take it back into the kettle down to like 80 degrees, and then let's just like throw 2 pounds per barrel of hops in there.
Hell yeah.
So that was on top of the other kettle hops that were already there, and then we threw another 2 pounds per barrel, into the dry hop. So I think a lot of the haze you're seeing is just like polyphenolic. There's some yeast in there too, but it's just crazy hops.
I can't but notice reading these notes, it's only 5.1. Very nice.
Yeah.
A lot of flavor for a
Yeah.
smaller IPA.
Good mouthfeel. We use a lot of oats and wheat in this as well.
Yeah. Do you guys ever hear of Fort George in Oregon? Fort George Brewing? They used to have an oatmeal pale ale back in like 2005 that I loved, and they eventually took it off because it wasn't selling. If they put it out now, it would be gangbusters.
Yeah, that was before their time.
Sunrise
Yeah.
Pale. Oh, man. That place is great.
20, 25
Yeah,
years
no, talk
ago.
about- where's Fort George?
Astoria.
Astoria, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's,
I
actually-
never remember the town name.
Yeah,
Where the
we've been there.
Goonies was
Yeah,
filmed?
Yes, exactly.
That's
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
I've actually been to Fort George. It's an amazing, make amazing beers up there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm big on the oat pales and the oat IPAs because it's like,
I am too.
Yeah.
I like the mouthfeel from the oats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 It's always kind of a funny thing. It's like, as a sales guy, you run into a lot of like either buzzwords or kill words when it comes to describing beers. And we have a ongoing kind of conversation between Doug and myself, and about using the word like rye and a rye IPA.
Yeah. Why is that a bad word?
Or wheat, like
session, bitter.
And because the perception, unfortunately, for a lot of people is when you put those things where you say there's wheat or there's rye or there's oats in there, they immediately think they're turned off by it, not realizing that the majority of all the IPAs that you really, really love and enjoy have always contained those things.
Yeah.
It's just not mentioned.
Like you could say it's aged in whiskey barrels. Great.
Yeah.
Rye, which rye whiskey is a thing.
Yeah.
They're like, no, not on board for it. It's so crazy.
Well, it's like, you come
I
to the
love
general
ryes.
public and go, hey, do you like Nelson IPA from AleSmith or from Alpine, excuse me? And they're like, yeah, dude, Nelson, that's one of the best. And you're like, yeah, that's got like 20% rye in there.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I would have never known. Really? No. You know what I mean? But the minute you say rye IPA, they're like, no, it's cool. No, thank you.
You'd be surprised at how many flagship popular IPAs in Southern California have rye in it, and they just don't mention it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can't. It affects your sales, which is...
Why does it have this negative stigma? I don't know.
I don't know. Like Sierra Nevada Ruthless Rye, one of the best beers I've ever had.
Hop Rod Rye from...
Bear Republic.
Bear Republic.
Yeah.
Great one.
Great.
Yeah.
I've never had a bad rye IPA
ever.
or pale ever.
Yeah.
What is the argument?
And if you're not using wheat in your IPA, you're missing out
missing
too.
it, yeah.
You know, it just gives it that silkiness that makes it so delicious.
It doesn't make any sense. People are great. People are great. It's what I'll say there. Like you can't, like you have to call your cream ales blondes because you can't say cream, and like it's just, it's such a mess. Why is it such a mess? It's not that hard. The beer's good. Drink it.
Just drink.
Then
just
be
drink
like, now that you've had that, there's rye.
Hopefully
in
we'll
it.
see, like, an age where we can say things like rye or whatever. I
know.
mean, it's, back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, you couldn't say bitter.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Still tough.
There's
you
a
still
whole
can't,
attitude.
you still can't
Negative.
say bitter now.
Yeah.
Like we do an ESB that we have on draft at our tasting rooms currently.
Oh yeah, extra special bitter. You can't say it.
No, it's an English pub ale.
Yeah.
And now it sells like the Dickens.
Yeah.
So we made
Dickens.
one.
Wow.
Because it's English.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
I'm getting into
we
it.
got it, yeah, nice.
But on it, like, so we called it an ESB originally, and then it was an English pale ale, and that still didn't
Because
work.
it's still-
and now it's an English pub ale.
And now it's gangbusters.
Now it's gangbusters.
Because it reminds them of their childhood,
Yeah.
their youth growing up in the 90s, getting those import beers.
Exactly.
Which is crazy because you were probably drinking ESBs then. Like Fuller's ESB was one of my gateways.
Absolutely.
Great beer.
And
Yeah,
like I'm
amazing
like,
beer.
and to me, I was like, why is it even called an extra special bitter? I don't feel like it's bitter at all.
Yeah.
Like to me, that was like a misnomer, and now it's
Yeah.
anyway. People are
I think
and like
it was bitter
and-
in comparison to some of the milds and,
yeah.
But even people
Whatever.
didn't even know, It's like, would you consider Boddington's a bitter? You would,
yeah.
but it's
It
not
is.
really.
It's like a cream
is.
ale.
Yeah, no,
What is it? It's
bitter, but it's not bitter.
But it's
at
not
all.
bitter.
bitter.
Right. It's not bitter at all. It's not bitter at all.
No, it's the cream of Manchester.
Yeah.
But I think technically it's in BC
well,
terms.
it's funny, right? Bitters aren't bitter and pale ales aren't pale.
Yeah. Yes.
We're all a bunch of liars.
Yeah. Things don't mean anything. My favorite thing I ever heard was somebody said there's hazies and there's beer. Have you guys heard that?
No.
No,
There's hazes and there's beer.
They better not say that around us.
No, because I heard that and I was like, that's not true. That's not what people say. Like, no, there's drinkers who only drink hazy IPAs and they don't consider it beer. And like I heard that, and then 2 days later I was hanging out in Sacramento and I heard 3 people walk by and go, hey, do you guys want to go get a hazy or a beer or something? I was like, no, this is not a... And then I heard it again and again. I'm like, this is madness.
So it begs the question, what do they consider it? I mean...
They consider it like this thing that's
Like its
around
own
beer.
style?
Yeah, it's because it's
Malt
sweet.
beverage?
Because they don't think for beer
Juice?
people is Coors or like overly bitter IPAs that they hated when they tried it with 24. So like this beer is like a soft, it's pillowy, it's sweet. It reminds them of things they've had, and so for them it's like a different experience. And they'll only drink that, and they won't move. They won't move to a West Coast. They won't move to a blonde. They won't move. They'll only drink that, and that's a real thing.
Okay, so I think that's why, brewers like us are willing to, I think we like the aroma and flavor of hazies, and I think a lot of brewers resisted brewing a hazy right off the bat, but then we realized it's bringing people to craft beer that might not come otherwise.
But the
so
crazy
it's
part
a
is
good
they're not
thing.
going somewhere else. They're
Right.
only sticking to the one category.
But
That's fine.
But they'll
Some
come back
people are.
around.
I'm not going to say everybody's sticking to hazies, but like it's crazy that the research shows that about 85% of people just stick to the hazy and don't move off it. They
that's
might
all
like
right.
try something, but it's so weird. But yeah, it's still Hey, it still works for craft beer.
But when they're sitting on a stool, you might be able to throw a Berliner Weiss or something else at them once in a while, and go, hey, try this, man, or even this, Count Sparkula, Countess Sparkula,
because you're gonna pitch their childhood at them.
Yeah, man,
that's what it is.
Right, you're gonna turn them on to something else.
Yeah.
So it's cool. They're in the door.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse, right?
They might say no to that, but they'll still come back to your hazy they came in the door for the first place.
Right.
That's the thing is, if we can get craft beer into people's mouths, and I firmly believe this for my entire career, it's like if you can just have somebody try a craft beer, they're going to be hooked no matter what, because it's always going to be better than the alternative. It's always going to be better than these kind of macro Pilsner lagers that you've been drinking. It's like once you get that and once you acclimate yourself with that mouthfeel, it's going to be a slightly thicker mouthfeel when it comes to you, no matter what you're drinking, when it comes to craft. Yeah. Once you have that, you're never going back. You're never going backwards.
So I've talked to a couple brewers recently that started doing hard seltzers.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm still kind of about that, but they're kind of saying the same thing. Once you get bodies in the door, then you can kind of switch them over to something else maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually at Thorn we're doing a hard seltzer as well.
Yeah. There you go.
So, which is nice because we can legally do it because it's a fermented beverage. So it's another outlet to have guests come into our tasting rooms and enjoy their beers, and
there you go.
And that's that's the main thing.
Yeah. Once you get them in the door, all you got to do is give them one thing that makes them happy.
Yeah.
And they'll keep coming back through that door.
And then you just put them into some different stuff. You know what I mean? It's
slowly
but surely. You just kind of keep grinding away, keep picking at them, and then by the time you're done, they're just drinking Pliny every day.
Yeah. My favorite thing is I have a hardcore Budweiser friend. They only drink Budweiser. Bud Light if there's no Budweiser around. And I've got her drinking a Belgian wit that's made like down the street from her house. It's like, it's actually better. I'm like, I know it's better, but like it's like a nice little champ. Like, it's just down the street. You just go down the street, they'll give it to you in bottles and cans and growlers. You can just go get this. And she does it. I'm like, all
right, cool.
You can't deny it.
Nice job.
I didn't know you lived down the street from Shock Top, but that's cool.
Oh, no. It's celebrating its 5th anniversary today. Monk Cellar in Roseville, California.
Oh,
all right.
The last episode of Barley.
Congratulations, Monk Cellar. 5 years.
It's an award-winning Belgian white, or wit. So.
Belgian wit.
Yeah.
Which is another one. That's another one of those watershed beers that, I was making a joke about Shock Top or Blue Moon, but, there's something to be said for those two breweries, maybe not in the condition and the ownership that they have now, but
they got you in.
Back in the day.
I remember
big shout out to like Hogarden and Pierre Celis, obviously who created the Belgian wit style in general.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful gateway beer.
Yeah.
Totally is.
I got a Shock Top before it was released to the public through my brother-in-law. I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
And now I would never say that, but I just did. Take it off. Editing out. But yeah. I mean, we all have gateway beers. We all did it.
I think they're all super, super important. Red Trolley, I think, is one of those. Red Trolley, I think, when you talk about Ballast Point Yellowtail Pale Ale, another huge one. Stone
Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada Pale.
Even Samuel Adams. And
Boston Lager.
Boston Lager.
Yeah, Boston Lager back in the day. I mean,
Anchor Steam and then
Anchor
Liberty.
Yeah, high five on that one.
Anchor Liberty. 100%.
That's an old school beer. Nobody today would drink that beer.
I would.
That beer
I know you would because you're old school.
Drink the hell out of that beer.
Yeah. But like new drinkers would be like, what is this that you're giving me?
And it's unfortunate, especially when you talk about a beer like Anchor Liberty, where that is the most important beer when you're talking about West Coast IPAs that's ever been brewed.
Yeah.
So before I started working for Strauss, there was a beer, Jamaican River. Jamaican
Red.
Jamaican
Red Mad River.
Yeah, Mad River.
Oh, man,
up in Humboldt.
That was good
loved
beer. That was good
that
beer.
beer.
Still great.
Drink the hell
Still
out
great,
of that.
yes.
I just love the fruitiness on
board for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like this conversation. This is great.
It was funny. You're talking about like pastry stouts and all that kind of stuff earlier. Like if somebody wanted to do a pastry like 5 years ago or 10 years
It
ago,
would be madness.
But speaking of 20 years ago, there was a lot of more fruit beers that were going on. I remember Oregon Ale Works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had like 4 or 5 different. Or was it Oregon or was it Portland Ale Works? Remember and they did like the blackberry, and they'd have all these kind of fruit adjunct ales.
Okay.
And that stuff was like
Yeah.
That was the stuff that got people into drinking craft beer.
Yeah. Saxer lemon lager.
I grew up on Sea Dog blueberry wheat.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to admit it.
No, I'm with you right there.
Dude, Marin Brewing Company has that blueberry
or
ale.
Magic Hat number 9.
Yep,
also
great.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. This is what we're doing. It's still good.
So it's amazing. So it's, it's as...
And
everybody's
said
kind of shifted away from doing fruit beers, and now they're doing hazies or pastries and all this kind of.
Yeah. I think you could put a Magic 9 against a hazy, and it would be pretty similar as far as the profile and.
Oh yeah, lots of apricot. I mean,
you could put a Magic Hat in there.
I think if you had an original Hoegaarden that was actually brewed by Pierre Celis and put it next to a hazy, you're going to get the same response from 90% of the people.
And as we're on the hazy thing and Jay talking about kill words, it's funny that there was, I don't know, it was 5, maybe 6 years ago where white IPAs were a trend, and then they died.
3 years ago, it was Saisons, fruited Saisons. Everybody had some kind of, crazy Saison with some adjunct or something in it.
And then they realized that Saison stays on and it doesn't ever sell for shit.
But they're so good, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, they're amazing. Like,
I love a good Saison.
I know. I worked at.
I hate a bad Saison.
I worked at a wonderful bar, and Doug worked there as well here in San Diego called Tornado. You may have heard of it.
No idea.
And we would have
a couple good nights in that
We'd
place.
have DuPont Saison on, and this is probably the quintessential Saison made in the world. Yeah. And we'd have like a 5-gallon keg of it, and that thing would be on for like a month.
Yeah,
and
it's so
we
good.
couldn't understand
why.
Nobody would drink it. Like, this is
the Saison. I've done one giveaway on this podcast ever, and it was I had a Saison once on an episode. I think I did end up releasing it, but I didn't have something to go. But I initially had not released the episode. I'm like, I've poured one beer down a drain in this podcast ever. It was a Saison. I'm like, so I'm going to give you the Saison I poured down the drain, and then what I think is the best Saison. And if you guess what it is, I'll give you the thing. I was like, pick which beer I poured down the drain, not because it'd obviously be Saison DuPont. Of course, that's going to be the winner if I said pick the best one. Yeah. But I gave somebody who selected the worst beer, I gave him the worst one and a Saison DuPont. I'm like, it's like, here's the bad version, here's the ideal version of this beer.
Wow. The gold standard.
The only giveaway I've ever done.
It hurts my heart a little bit that beer style just doesn't get any love. It's so good. That and Belgian Wits.
Yeah, and they tried to recycle with the farmhouse. Like, maybe we'll do a farmhouse style ale. Will that sell a Saison? Like, no.
Yeah, I guess we could get angry about this whole thing, or we could just go back to what got us here to begin with, and just educate people on why these styles of beer are so special and so hard to make, and the nuances and everything else. And thank you to people like you that give people like us an audience to talk about this kind of stuff.
I'm just here to collect history. That's what I'm doing.
Very nice.
We do have one more beer, collaboration here. If you guys would like to,
just one.
If we have to,
well, we got more beer.
Oh, we got. I mean,
I don't know if you know this, but we're at a brewery
collaboration beer.
Yeah. Okay.
And speaking of, can I just I want to just talk a little bit about Collabapalooza and how awesome it is for me as a sales perspective, as a sales guy. It is hands down my favorite festival of the year. But the most amazing thing about Collabapalooza is when you drive in, when you're loading in, and it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and we're all a little hungover because it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday. You drive in, and every booth of every brewery is either the owner, the head brewer, or the main person.
Because they're so proud of what they've done.
And it is the greatest collection of San Diego brewers and brewing people that you're ever going to find in one spot, in one parking lot.
Yeah.
It definitely captures the magic of San Diego brewing. I've worked in the restaurant industry most of my life, and definitely living somewhere else where most businesses, it's a competition. They're your competitor. Why would you ever help them? And in the brewing industry, it's very family-oriented, helping each other out all the time. But I swear San Diego is just the next level of helping.
Yeah.
It's always, a few times a week, someone asking for help with yeast, grains, whatever. You're hooking them up. You're trading back and forth. And it's not necessarily, it's a competition, I need you to fail. It's, I want to bring you up better to make better beer. I want everyone to make better beer so we can go out to a bar and there's nothing but great beer on.
Yeah.
And
we can force out these guys that shouldn't be here.
Or if you're in that particular neighborhood, you know that you could pop in for a freshie.
Yeah.
And it's another good place to go get fresh-made local craft beer, man.
Yeah.
You know?
It's truly what I love.
It's community. If all of us do great, then amazing.
Rising tide floats all boats.
And you don't one bad berry spoils the bunch, whatever it is. Banana, I don't know the phrase. We're gonna do it. You can't have 3 or 4 breweries pop up and go hard marketing wise, but not have the quality, because everybody suffers from that's the representation of San Diego. So you need to be a little bit showing the ropes.
And fortunately, we won't ever express it out publicly, but we all know who those people are.
Right. Yeah.
And we may not publicly shun them, we'll still help them out, and we'll still assist.
You want them to be good.
We want them to be better. We want them to go on and grow.
They may not accept what you're giving them, but there's always a few.
Yeah.
Yep. But here's the beautiful thing about Collabapalooza, and also, like you said, it ties all that history together and all that lessons. But it's also kind of a passing of the torch, letting the public know, you respect me, but there's this new brewery you should know about.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing too, yeah. So I did a brew with Helix, and they're kind of a small neighborhood brewery, like Thorn but smaller. And I did one with Alta as well, and they're not far from these guys down in the barrio, and they're
doing some great stuff down there.
Yeah, they've got their own clientele, their own neighborhood, regulars that come in and sit at the bar and have beers, and it's
just kind of do their thing.
So back when the beer scene was blowing up in San Diego, people were asking me, "Oh, when's this bubble going to break or whatever?" And I'm
what year was this? We're just going to get it on the record.
So
ballpark.
I don't know. I think it stopped. It slowed down about 2 years ago.
Okay.
It's still growing, but slowly. But I said, there's still not a small brewery in every little neighborhood. Until there's room for growth.
Growth always. Yeah.
And Alta's kind of one of those little, little neighborhood breweries.
Yeah.
And I think it's rad. I think, every neighborhood could support their own little brewery.
Yeah.
And get to know the brewer. And
it is indeed the best part.
It's cool, man.
It fosters community. It keeps your money where you live, which is awesome.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that you can say that this is my local business anymore. So craft beer's amazing. I truly, truly love it, which is why I do this stupid thing I do.
It brings people together from all walks of life, people that might not come together otherwise. It just breaks bread and,
well, me and Paul talk about this all the time. It's the historical significance of the brew pub. When you just talk about the writing of American history.
Yeah.
The Constitution was written over beers in a brew pub.
Yeah.
People drink beers, and they figured out how to create this amazing country that we live in.
Yeah. They figured out how to overthrow governments. It's great.
Beer is the lubricant of social intercourse.
Yes.
Oh.
Just brings people together to, hang out and talk and take over countries and start their own countries.
Start your own country.
Yeah.
We can go deep and dark if you want to, Paul.
Well, I'm not going deep and dark. I'm just telling it like it is.
In the facts.
Fair enough.
So this next beer, actually, is, speaking of bringing people together, brought together Karl Strauss and Belching Beaver.
One of those up-and-comers.
Belching Beaver's been around. I think they're now kind of almost with you guys, I think. 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and they've been... I think they were kind of known for their
the peanut butter
stout or
and
the horchata and the honey, but they're more than they do one or two trick pony. Their hoppy beers are pretty good too.
Yeah. Going back to when you mentioned Alpha King earlier, I mean, they got second place last year, and I think they got first place 2 years before that. They know how
they do their hoppy beers
hops
really well.
They know hops real well,
and they've been top 5 I think almost every year that Alpha King has been a thing.
Oh yeah.
So we brewed this Imperial Pilsner with Belching Beaver. And Jay might remember this old beer called Whistler Imperial Pilsner.
I do indeed.
That Karl Strauss used to do. And
is this Whistler's mother?
Yeah. It's like Whistler, but we use single hop mosaic on it.
Okay.
It was kind of an icebreaker for Karl Strauss and Belching Beaver to kind of do something together.
Yeah.
And they liked this beer, and they're like, we want to brew another bigger batch up at our brewery and put it into cans. And I said, rad, let's do that.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
This one's about 8% ABV, though.
Ooh.
Lots of passion fruit, mango.
This is a sneaky 8%.
This is a sniper.
Yeah.
This might get you, Jay.
Yeah. I'm not feeling good about later at all.
The only thing that gets me is Jameson nowadays. But
oh, boy. Yeah, do you kind of feel like at this point beer's gotten big enough, even though we've talked about educational standards, sometimes still got to teach people, but if you're not doing everything well, there's going to be a problem? you think it's gone to that point
Well,
yet?
I mean, going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, people say, well, don't you think some of these bad breweries, or don't you think they're going to sort of hurt the cred of San Diego as a whole or whatever? And I'm like, no, if they don't have their stuff together, it's going to hurt them. Like they need to right out of the gates, their beer needs to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Or they're going to weed themselves out.
Right.
They're not going to make, other breweries look bad.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, unfortunately and fortunately, the consumer is never going to drink a second beer if the first one they have is bad.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, full transparency, I think with Thorn, and when we first started out, those first year and a half, we weren't necessarily making the best beers that we could have.
Right.
And I think a lot of people had those first early incarnations of the Thorn beers, and they were just like,
and so you have to
these are not
brand.
good, and they just never came back. And it took a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of fight,
a lot of time
to put our beer back into people's mouths and have them give us a chance.
Yeah, I feel like when I go to a new brewery, and I've been going to a lot of breweries, I'll go in there, I'll taste it, and I'll figure out, I'll get a flight of everything so I can see what their styles are that they've kind of nailed right away. And then I'll say in my head, I'll come back here and, this is great right off the bat. Or I'll be back in 3 months. I'll be back in 6 months. I'll be back in a year to see what's going on. Because there's a lot of times where I'll post that I'm at a brewery. It's always like, aren't their beers bad? I'm like, no, their beers are good now. Like I saw Promise a few months ago. I came back, and they're good now. You should come back and try it again. And so the guy that created Sacramento Beer Week, Dan Scott, have you heard of him? I don't know. Sacramento guy.
Name rings a bell.
He goes all over. He's a crazy beer guy. He looks like a cartoon, like a video game character. He's kind of got spirally hair out the sides, but not really.
We used to see Jay without a hat.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll cut this part where I describe Dan Scott. He looks like a cartoon character. He looks like a villain. Anyway, so I posted something a few weeks ago, and he's like, "They're bad though." I'm like, no, you should come check them out again. I thought the same thing. I'm like, their pale ale has promise. It's not quite where it needs to be, but I feel like they're getting there. And then I got a text from 2 days ago. It's I went back. Yeah, they're really good now. I'm like, yeah, you just got to go back and try them out.
You bring up a great point, and I'm glad you do. Because, breweries don't always start off on the best foot, but then they get better. The learning curve, they get over.
Their equipment sometimes, fine-tuning.
And so, San Diego, you guys basically got your reputation from having a few breweries, killing it, and then those guys would splinter off and start their own breweries. There's all these professional breweries or brewers starting their own breweries, and there's all these breweries run by professionals who've done it for years. Boom, 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 boom. But I'm from Sacramento, where it's a lot of home brewers getting into the game who won awards at home brew. I'm going to go to the professional side, and there's a learning curve.
Well, San Diego started out that way, though.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But Quaff, the homebrew club here,
that's how everybody started. But
right. But then as time went on, there were guys that had experience in commercial breweries that ended up jumping ship and starting their own places.
Yeah.
I mean, one that comes to mind right off the bat is Marty Mendiola of Rock Bottom. He was there forever, opened up his own place, and he's killing it now.
Yeah.
But there's all over San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's guys that...
Oh, it's like Skip and talking about Peter, all those guys.
Yeah, Skip and Peter. I don't know who these guys are or where they work, but
they're good guys.
I mean, I can even think to myself being in that back corner for Quaff's AFC competition multiple times just for the award ceremony. A lot of us started as homebrewers in San Diego.
Yeah. And so you have to give them time to dial it in.
Right.
And some people get it right away, and some people don't. And it's
most of the time they're using equipment that was freshly installed, and they're just getting to know it. And there's a learning curve with that stuff.
Yeah. You can't just scale it up.
No.
There's it's you can't just go 1-to-1.
Yeah,
it's not how it works.
No. It doesn't scale up like.
I used 2 pounds, and now I use 20 pounds, and the other one I used 3, so now it's 6. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way at all. So you have to learn it, and I always give places a chance.
Touchy-feely.
Yeah, because. And I hope consumers are doing that. Fresh consumers walking in the door, knowing it's a new brewery, maybe are a little bit more forgiving.
Everybody here at this table right now is, we're beer people, but some consumers aren't, and they'll go into a place, it's like a restaurant, and they'll have a bad experience, and they're like, I'm never coming here again, and that's...
Yeah. It's tough.
It's kind of tough, man. You really got to try to start out with your best foot forward if you can.
You really want to get the best beer you possibly can right out the gate, or it's going to be an uphill struggle. But I also think like the wonderful thing about San Diego is that if you're open, if you're a new brewery and you're a new brewer and you might be struggling, and some of the beers that you come out with, you're probably not happy with, and you're obviously the feedback isn't as good as you would like it to be. If you're open and accepting and listen to and friend other people in San Diego beer, they're going to give you advice.
Yeah.
If you hang out with Doug, or if you hang out with Paul, or if you hang out with like Ivan from 3 Paul, they're gonna be harsh. They're gonna critique your beers in an open and honest way, and along with that, they're going to help you along to make your product better. Yeah. You know, that's what I think San Diego beer is the greatest thing, is that, it's you should have the best beer that you possibly can right from Jump Street. And if you're not, you're going to struggle. But if you if you look around and ask for a little bit of help, everybody's going to lift you up, and everybody's going to take you across that finish line, and you're going to make some amazing beers.
Yeah, and it's always funny, because I've been doing this for a while. Before I did the podcast, I was still like a big beer guy, and I'd still talk to brewers and all this stuff. And it's crazy to me how many brewers were open without asking questions. Like, somebody's like, oh, I didn't know it would take this long to open. I didn't know the regulations would be so crazy about like where I put things. I'm like, I don't even brew, and I could have told you that was going to happen. Like, just from like random conversations.
You can't be shy. You
double
really
the money,
gotta
double the time, whatever you expect.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I don't feel like opening in 3 months. I'm like, I'll see you in a year, sir. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, it'll be a year.
If you open a year, that's going to be good.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite ones I ever got was a guy who was like so close to opening. They come in, they're like, yeah, this manhole cover too close to your door. You can't have that manhole cover so close to your door.
Well, it's been there forever.
We've done like 4 inspections. It's like, yeah, you can't do it. Like, well, I guess we just cut a new door somewhere else and say this one's not for use. That's what they did. They're just like, we'll just cut up, punch out this glass and put a door in.
We struggled when we opened up our production facility down in Barrio Logan. We were about almost 2 years delayed with everything, and unfortunately, but it was the same kind of situation where it's funny how the city and the state, I guess extensively from the city, they'll only tell you 3 things that you're doing wrong at a time.
Yeah, and they'll come back like these other things.
You can have 15 things that are not done right, but they're gonna get you 3, and then they leave.
Yeah,
you fix those 3, they come in like, there's another 3.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like
they
those
leave.
were there last time. Like, we don't care.
And then another 3, and then they leave. So it's, you know,
this tasting room that we're in right now. The entrance used to be the stairs over there, back before there was a tasting room here. But as soon as we made it open to the public, we had to fall under ADA compliance.
Yeah.
So we had to actually make the door over on the side of the building where there's a ramp so people in wheelchairs could access it.
Yeah.
And then there's one low part of the bar that's over there for people in wheelchairs. And ADA is a completely... that's a new thing.
That's an animal, right? That's an animal.
Man. And there are people that will sue your pants off if you're not compliant. Yeah. And they'll go around to different places and make sure that, you know.
It's still tough. I think it's still tough. And when you're talking about brewery, like, we've had this conversation. I think, Paul, we've all talked about this as an industry. The difficulty of running and having a successful professional brewery in the state of California, it's insanely difficult. One of the things that people don't ever know or think about or talk about is I think called net 30, which is like, where you don't get paid for 30 days on anything you do.
Yeah.
And if you're a small business and brewing beer, there's a lot of overhead.
Yeah,
there's a lot of materials you got to buy right up front, and it still takes. So you got to pay for all that stuff up front. It's going to take you anywhere from 2 weeks to 5 weeks to brew a beer. Then if you sell it, then it's still going to take another 30 days
to sell it out.
Hopefully, optimistically, to get a check.
Yeah.
So you're talking about from when you buy that raw materials to when you actually see $1 back in your bank.
Well, unless you're selling it to the mom and pop liquor stores out in El Cajon, they're all like Chaldeans that pay cash.
Yeah, which cash rules.
Yeah, that's kind of good.
But you know, even
most establishments are net 30.
Most net 30, and even our distributor, unfortunately, is net 30. Right. So it makes it a little bit rough as well.
Sometimes they'll go a long time without paying, and you know, ABC law says they have to pay within 30 days.
Yeah.
And so
they can't get any more beer from you until they've paid it, correct?
Exactly, and you don't want to cut them off.
Right, because they're helping you get your product out, which is getting people in your doors.
Well, they're still buying. You know what I mean? It's the dirty. It's the kind of that little dirty little secret, and especially when you're talking about smaller breweries that don't have that kind of money in their coffers.
Yeah.
Payroll is every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you're getting paid once every month and a half, 2 months.
Maybe every 2 months on some of that. So it can make it very, very difficult. So I can, we've unfortunately seen some amazing breweries in this town close down that none of us wanted to see close down.
Yeah.
But that's just the simple reality. Is that
everybody thinks everybody that owns a brewery is a millionaire, and like
no, the margins are pretty thin. And brew pubs are even thinner, man.
Yeah, because you got that food stuff. It just goes bad. People aren't buying the thing you're getting.
Well, restaurants, I always call it a game of nickels. Anyways, it's like the best you can do in a restaurant. If you're running at optimum conditions, you're maybe making 5 cents on every dollar that you generate.
Yeah.
You throw in brewing in there.
Yeah.
You throw in all that stuff. No, you're talking about.
Hey, we should talk about something happy like Collabapalooza.
Okay, sorry.
I guess we could.
Let's go back to happy time.
Sorry, Paul.
I'm fine with that. I like
I'm starting to get like bummed out here.
Okay.
I'm just letting the
people
know the
reality.
reality.
Yeah. Okay.
I do that sometimes. Sometimes I just like to talk to business. People don't, because I'm here to educate consumers.
No, Jay's
about
real.
the reality of what
This
they're
is
doing.
real. This is reality. And
This is
people
25
think like
years
all I
in the
got to do is
business.
make good beer and I'm going to be fine. But no, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
You know,
what makes it worth it to you every day to wake up and go out and do that?
making beer's fun, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't wake up in the morning and go, damn, I got to go brew beer today. It doesn't suck.
It doesn't.
You're creating something with your hands from scratch that stoke people out. You look across a busy tasting room or a restaurant, and you see people with smiles on their faces and digging the beer.
100%.
That's priceless, man.
The stoke, man. It's always been. That's how I got into this thing.
Even if you're break even, you're still like, I'm stoked on this.
Even that beer that's not selling, there's one guy who's like, that's my favorite beer on the board.
I'll tell you, 9 out of 10 people in the brewing industry could have made more money doing other things in life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And most
We
of them
do this
did,
because of the stoke factor that Jay just mentioned.
It's the stoke.
It's
and
the stoke.
you know what? And you're getting people laid. let's not bullshit at what we do. We make and we sell booze to get people laid.
Excuse me. I believe he's selling connection. Connection that may become a physical connection that was initially a conversational connection, I believe is what you're trying to say.
No. You're getting people laid. Okay.
Some people need a little more help than that, but it creates a scenario where the possibility
starts
might
the conversation.
That's what I was saying.
There it is. The lubricant of social intercourse.
Just gets
God,
people laid,
let me have the wins.
Yes.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
I think Jay needs more Countess.
I might.
But look,
let's
I'm just
crack
gonna
another
say-
bottle of that.
I'm in a loving, committed relationship, and I will say that if she did not like craft beer, we probably wouldn't be together. Let's face facts. That's probably true. I don't think I'd ever date a girl who doesn't like beer.
I think I was talking about this topic with a friend about an hour ago, actually. Yeah. And she said she met a guy who wasn't into craft beer, and it just didn't work out.
There's always
Actually,
hope.
2 guys.
They can be changed. My brother-in-law hated craft beer for years and years and years, and over the last 2 years, I've been able to change his mind. And now he loves IPAs.
Just give them everything you make and just hope they stick.
There's always a chance.
There you go.
Well, you can lead a horse to water.
I tell you, I worked at this bar called the Liars Club down on Mission Beach, and we would sell macro beers, but we also we had 22 handles of craft beer when really not a lot of people did, and the majority of people who were drinking Pliny and drinking Alpine Pure Happiness back then.
Happy birthday.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday. Were ladies. And so when the ladies were drinking that, the guys would come in and they'd order a Coors Light first, and then they'd see that this beautiful girl was drinking a Pliny, and they'd order a Pliny. And that's how they got into it.
I mean, you can't dispute the logic. It is true.
No.
But
actually, you know what? I'll take that a step further. I like that a lot of craft breweries are doing solid Pilsners or Pilsner-esque or sort of
get them in the door.
Sort of entry-level beers, right? To just get people in the door and provide an alternative to Bud or Coors or Miller. Or, I mean, I probably shouldn't have mentioned them by name or whatever, but
I think if you name 2, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the regulations.
Here we go. So, speak of the devil.
We're just skipping it. Okay. So, he's like, what are these glasses about?
You know what I like? These guys from Thorn, they never show up empty-handed, man.
Oh, Jesus. There's recording equipment here, man.
So we got Barrio Logan now. It's a Mexican lager. It's one of my favorites. You can't
about the macro, right?
So you can't not love this beer. Pour me one of the. Thank you, Dougie. So this beer, people come in, they'll have this, and boom, then you can maybe throw a little taster of something else in front of them.
Yeah.
This
a
is our
session
craft
pale
version of a macro Mexican lager. I mean, nobody really grew up on drinking, like we said earlier, Pliny. You grew up, like I grew up on Bud Light and Corona. So this was my way of, I wanted to do a craft version as close to that as possible.
This episode of Barley Me is brought to you by Comedy Night at Crooked Lane, the premier winter seasonal comedy program in Northern California, returning for its 4th year. Previous performers at Comedy Night at Crooked Lane have gone on to appear on HBO, on Amazon Prime, on Netflix, all over your streaming services, and this year is no different. We kick off in November with headliner Ellis Rodriguez, a past winner of the San Diego Comedy Competition, as well as the San Francisco International Comedy Competition. His debut album, Go Be a Clown, is out now. Then in December we have Billy Anderson, whose debut comedy special is on Amazon Prime called America's Sweetheart. He's also available to be heard on Sirius XM and Audible Radio. And in January, we have Caitlin Warehouser, an absolute dynamo, a previous winner of Portland's Funniest Person, who's been on Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal. You can see her on Amazon Prime right now on The Benefits of Guzmandry, as well as a role in an upcoming Disney film. Then in February, we have Chelsea Bierce headlining. She's a regular at the Punchline in San Francisco and Sacramento, as well as Cobb's Comedy Club. She also appears on Street Comic on YouTube. And then in March, closing out the season, backed by popular demand, is Modesto's own Anthony Kay, a previous Big Sky Comedy Festival finalist, a multiple-time finalist at the San Francisco International Comedy Competition. He's wonderful. It's going to be a great season. These tickets are $10 a pop, November through March. You should absolutely check it out. These shows will sell out. You can get tickets at eventbrite.com. or at the brewery, Crooked Lane Brewing in Auburn, directly 536 Grass Valley Highway in Auburn, California. Give them a ring at 530-878-5232. That's Comedy Night at Crooked Lane, the 3rd Thursday of the month, November through March. It's absolutely worth it. Back to the show.
So I grew up about 10 minutes from the Mexican border, and I used to go down when I was 16 and drink a lot of Especial.
Okay.
And Corona and all that, but I loved Especial, and I'm stoked that there's solid craft Mexican lagers out there now, and
yeah,
I'll drink the crap out of the Barrio Lager. I love this beer.
Thank you.
And I'm stoked that you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
It goes back to when you can just shut off your brain and enjoy the beer.
Yeah.
Not think about
not
what
not
grain am I
dissect
getting,
it
what
as
am I
you
getting
drink
at house, what am I getting for this. Like, no, just enjoy it.
I feel like
so
I
that
still
begs the
dissect
question:
it.
what hops are in this?
Yeah.
Guess.
I'm gonna go Citra. I'm just gonna guess you used it.
I'm gonna say something noble, perhaps.
Oh.
Tettnanger.
I feel like he's
maybe.
a new school guy. That's why I went with that one.
It's actually one of Jay's favorite movies.
Warriors come out to play.
It's an amazing movie. It's an
Okay.
amazing movie. I feel like I gotta start. Warriors.
Oh boy,
Love that movie.
Yeah, no.
gone too far.
And I love this beer. I love our Barley Lager. I think it's like what Paul was saying. I think it's amazing that we're seeing this trend over the last few years where the very respected and honorable breweries here in San Diego are making quality craft lagers and pilsners.
I love it.
Yeah. And as difficult and as expensive as it is, because Paul knows, you're talking about twice the brew time.
Yeah.
So you're making one batch versus 2 batches of an ale. So that's a lot of commitment. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money tied up, and it's a lot of real estate.
That's best case scenario. Sometimes it might take 3 times as long.
No.
All right. So as anybody who's into craft beer, whether you're making it or drinking it, advertising it, talking about it, whatever the hell, you can't start talking smack on the big boys. You can't talk about stealing market share away from them if you're not making a beer like this that competes with it.
Yeah.
I see craft breweries open up and they've got 7 different IPAs or whatever.
That's restraint.
They've got nothing like this on tap. I'm like, you can't bitch about them eating your lunch if you've got nothing to offer people who like those kind of beers, man. You got to brew something like this.
Yeah.
If you're, if you hope to
I love
convert people.
I love a brewery that's like super IPA or stout focused that makes just a killer pilsner.
Yeah.
And it's just a sneaky, they're not known for it. It's like, I'm just going to make a killer pilsner.
Yeah.
Thorn is known as an IPA.
805.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reviled 805. Do you know people don't like that, which is insane? That's an insane statement, but I keep seeing it. People don't like 805.
What?
That's insane, right? We're all agreeing this is an insane statement.
I'm not a huge fan of 805.
I fucking knew it, Jay.
I'm sorry, you knew, yeah. But look at me, yeah.
I could look at your face, but I knew.
But
They're making converts.
But here's the thing. But what I can respect is the fact that it's the #1 selling beer in the Central Coast of California. It outsells AB every day.
Really? That's awesome.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. So that I will. That is
Small
the most
victories.
amazing. That's the most amazing thing, in my opinion.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
I have a friend of mine whose dad runs the distributor out of Sacramento and does all Central Coast, and 805 outsells every other macro beer.
Yeah.
So, that being said, then God bless him.
Let's turn the corner. Here we go.
God bless him. So, it's not a beer that I gravitate towards, but, that doesn't mean that it's not bad or...
I mean, it's the best. It's the best after a hard day's work. I mean, I can't dispute a can of 805 in the shower after doing some manual labor, a thing I rarely do.
After the shower?
In the shower.
In the shower.
In the shower, right?
Yeah. I thought I said in the shower.
Shower beer. Shower beer.
I hope I said in the
Definitely
shower.
shower beer.
Yeah, in the shower with a can.
All right.
Not glass.
We're good.
Dangerous.
Can.
Yeah.
I feel like you've learned that lesson the hard way.
No. I have not learned that lesson the hard way. I've seen people learn that lesson the hard way. I was watching them shower. They dropped the bottle.
Why is there so much blood?
I went out and bought a separate soap holder just so I could use the soap like nook for canned beer.
You don't want like something out of Psycho.
You got to find... I found the spot in my shower where I could put a beer safely and not have to worry I'll knock it down when I'm twisting and turning and being...
It was the only reason I agreed to a shower rack is so I had somewhere to put my beer.
There you go.
I now have one of those. I've not done a shower beer since I got one. All right, that's a good point. I'm gonna get that going.
There we go.
You haven't lived till you have a shower beer.
Oh,
what are you doing with your life if you haven't had beers in the shower?
I didn't have the rack before. I just had stuff on on ledges.
On ledges?
Yeah.
As long as water's not getting into the beer, you're fine.
Yeah, I put it in the top corner, but now that I have the rack, I could probably just put it right there. That's way easier than going to the corner every time, not getting wet. What's the point of being in the shower? That's a good point. I'm learning a lot here. This is what Collabapalooza is about. Is learning things you wouldn't expect to learn.
Beer equivalent of the Catalina wine mixer.
Exactly.
Yeah. You just don't know what you're going to learn.
Collabapalooza.
Who else? All right, shameless self-plug for Thorn. So we not only did this collab, I'm just going to keep talking, man. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Because those guys did a bunch of good collabs.
Yeah, we did a
so many.
Yeah. We did a shit ton of, we actually were on Strauss level and a shit ton of collabs. So what did we do, Dougie? We did.
So in-house, we did obviously we did with Paul, which that was actually kind of a bucket list check for me. Brewing with San Diego legend was an awesome achievement, unlocked. Then we did a Saison with, going back to Saison, but we did it with locally sourced Merlot grapes from the Valle de Guadalupe in Baja.
Okay. Awesome.
We did that with Transpeninsular out of Ensenada.
Shout out to Colin
really
Corrigan.
Great fucking dudes. Awesome. Love Colin.
And Juan.
We also did a hoppy lager with Epic.
Okay.
Epic's making great beer, too.
I've heard from their lagers.
Yes. Their Oktoberfest this year was one of the best.
Oh, their fest beer is amazing.
Yeah, their beer was pretty money, yeah.
I love Oktoberfest.
My favorite beer, and I think it's one of the favorites for brewers, is their Schwartz beer.
Oh, yeah.
It is just magic in a glass. We also did
Do they have a Schwartz beer, an ESB, and a dark mild on at the same time?
No.
There's a brewery in Folsom that does that. I'm like, why? Do you not want to make money? But anyway, carry on.
Who does a Schwartz beer these days? I mean, that's one of my favorite styles ever.
Yeah.
It's
but nobody
German
wants it.
Dark. Yeah, but
Latchkey did an amazing.
I can
Schwartz
let
beer
you
this time.
Yeah.
a little secret. I'm going to make a Schwartz beer in December,
dude.
with
May the Schwartz be with you.
with someone you may have heard of, Colby Chandler.
I've heard of that guy.
Gonna do a little Schwartz beer with him, and
Excellent.
we're gonna make it an oyster Schwartz beer.
Nice.
Blue Oyster Schwartz.
And you're going to call it Eat My Schwartz or
Maybe we'll see.
something
Blue
like that?
Oyster Schwartz. You're welcome. I'm very
Blue
good at
Oyster
this.
Schwartz.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I love that
feeling
Blue Oyster
I
Schwartz.
thought we're just
Don't
calling it
fear the
freedom.
Reaper.
Freedom tastes great.
Freedom tastes great. Free at last. Free at last.
That your listeners
I'm
are
sorry,
hopefully,
did we
hopefully know what that means.
Did we just go off topic? What were
The fourth beer we're going
right
to be
on
pouring,
point.
which was actually brewed at Latchkey, is a Kolsch. We did at first it was going to be a hoppy Kolsch, using German hops. So we used some Saaz, Hallertauer Blanc, and Mandarina Bavaria. And then we decided we don't need to dry hop it. Just the Whirlpool alone was good enough. The brewer there is a former brewer of a nautical-themed brewery that I used to work at myself.
Oh, okay.
So the name we decided to call it is Yellow Trail.
Okay.
As a nod to another Kolsch that's been famous in San Diego.
Yes. I believe it also came up earlier in this recording. If you just hit that back 15 a bunch, you will find it.
Those are the 4 we're going to be pouring.
And that beer is ridiculously amazing, by the way. That last key beer that they did. Oh my goodness gracious.
You got me on Kolsch. You're good to go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Crushing.
Kolsch is another
Those will be
stuff.
the one Thorns are pouring at our booth. Besides that, we also did a New Zealand Pilsner with Pure Project that they'll be pouring. Which turned into going back to San Diego community of how we just help each other out in a whim. Talking to my friend Matt Navarre, who is the head brewer for San Diego Beer Co., and he was supposed to do a beer with another brewery I won't name, and it kind of just fell apart for Collabapalooza. He's telling me this about 3 weeks before, and I go, well, let's just brew something this week then. He's like, well, I don't know if I have time. Like, I've got ingredients. I know other friends, and we just started texting a bunch of people, and it turned into a 5-way collab on basically 3 days' notice. So with that one, it turned into San Diego Beer Co., Thorn, 3 Punk Ales, Original 40, and Epic. We all just showed up that day and just made a quick San Diego style kind of pale ale, 6% with a little bit of oats, a little bit of wheat, very hop heavy. And
thanks for the invite.
Going back to the... Oh, I'm sorry, Paul.
Is that what the beer's called?
I'm sorry, Paul is the name of the beer. But that just goes back, San Diego found out one of our friends, his collab fell through, and he didn't have a beer for Collabapalooza. And like, hey, we'll just get a bunch of people together and show up that day and make a beer.
Yeah. That's the quintessential San Diego scene right there.
And honestly, whenever I travel, I usually try to do a podcast. It's American brewery themed. Is helping each other and expanding and making sure that everybody's...
I want to think that. I hope
it really is.
I mean, it's there's pockets of coolness. Other places like Seattle, Portland, Denver, San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's like that everywhere, though.
I haven't been to the East Coast to do anything, really. So it's possible they're still cannibalizing themselves, but it seems like they're not.
I left out Sacramento, by the way.
Love
Your
each other.
stomping ground.
They're doing
There's
great.
Some great dudes, great breweries in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Bike Dog is cool.
Yeah,
Auburn is
underrated brewery, Bike Dog.
I'm really digging on Bike Dog stuff.
Dude,
I just recently had them in the last 6 months, and I'm really
like their Sand Dog?
Really digging on those brews.
We saw them at CCBA, and we're talking about doing a bike collab. Since our logo has a raccoon on a bike, theirs is a dog that is a bike. And like, all right, now we just get Sudworks in the mix, and we'll do a bike collab.
I can help
Track
out.
7's cool, too. They do some good stuff.
Yeah.
Track 7, Track 7's money.
Yeah, man.
Track 7 is money.
It's the one regional brewery coming out of there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a madhouse in there. It's awful. I love it so much.
Yeah.
I can't even keep up, and I live there.
That's awesome. Isn't that
nuts.
great, though?
Yeah.
Every
I've
day,
done collabs with 2 of the 3 breweries we just mentioned.
Nice.
Right? So I know that there's some, like, the spirit exists up there as well. It's cool.
I think, do you guys know Device Brewing at all? Ken Anthony and Device?
I don't.
My favorite thing is, it was like, I think it was his first year. He's like, oh, we're going to have an anniversary party. And he's like, oh, we're doing a collaboration with Alpine. I'm like, you've been open like 8 months. Like, yeah, they liked what we did, so we're doing this. I'm like, that's crazy.
That's cool, though.
That's crazy to me. And now they're like at like year 6 or 7 at this point. So it's just, it's great.
Guys at Alpine are okay.
Yeah.
And you got Derek Gallinosa at Moxa, which is just a little far north there.
Yeah, he used to be down here.
Paul.
Now he's up there.
Yeah. He used to work here at Carl. I hired that dude.
You've met him before, right? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he's
Really?
like my nephew, actually. Yeah,
Really?
he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Solid brewer. Makes great beer.
Have you had some Moxa beers at all since he's been up there?
I have.
They're
Yeah.
insane.
They're really good. Yeah.
Awful stuff.
Yeah.
Go there. Worth it.
Yep.
I just had, damn it. What's it short for? They have a barrel-aged stout they just put out, pastry method. Barrel-aged pastry method. It's like, you know, people have like a German chocolate cake beer.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, that's pretty close. This is dead on.
Dead on. Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, because that's my cake of choice.
Using coconut in there, 100%
no,
organic coconut.
They used hazelnut.
Really?
Yeah, and it still pulled out those profiles. It was nuts. Anyway,
Did you know German chocolate cake is not German?
It's fine. Nobody really is going to be like, I can't believe this.
The chickpea is neither a chick nor a pea.
Yeah.
Discuss.
The radical
Peanut
revolution.
is neither a pea nor a nut. We all
The radical
neither a road nor
revolution
an
was
island.
neither radical nor a revolution.
All right. I think we
Lost
should try.
Abbey is neither an abbey
should
nor
wrap
a
this
road.
up.
Fallen off the wayside.
Look, beer is starting.
Just edit all that out later. It's
Look,
cool.
here's what I know about wrapping up: is it takes 20 minutes. So
Okay.
I want to
You got to tear open the package, and it takes a while.
yeah. You just once you pop, you can't stop. I think it's a phrase that beer uses for alcoholism. All right.
It's a beer saying.
So, Collabapalooza is tomorrow, which means that nobody listening to this will know that. But I did put ads out, so hopefully that worked out.
So next year.
Next year, what's the plan? Going bigger, going smaller, more breweries, less breweries, more beers.
Wow, okay, so we've kind of expanded the. So the event is held sort of right behind the observatory in North Park, which is a great concert venue, one of my favorites in San Diego. There's a big parking lot in the back, and we've taken over that entire parking lot. So now we've kind of taken over the street that was adjacent to it. We keep expanding the footprint of the venue little by little. We might be able to go another year or two. I mean, the event keeps getting bigger and bigger. We might need to eventually move it somewhere else. We'll see, but
I heard you guys have an abandoned football field. Is that correct?
That might not be big enough.
I don't know.
It's just one more pot shot in. That's all I need.
That's just kind of mean.
Really.
So there were some
grind it in.
great breweries and brewers, friends of mine, that somehow just sort of overlooked it or didn't take part in it. And that kind of bummed me out. So I do want to
Give them a
have
second
room
chance.
for, to just make room for people, you know. And with 160 some breweries in San Diego,
There's still room to grow.
there's and really only 60 breweries took part. So there's still
A third of them,
we could be
two-thirds
more
are still being
more than half.
inclusive
Right.
with this event.
more welcoming, more warming,
Which
more
we should.
winter warmers.
Well,
it's getting cold. It's
yeah.
like 67 degrees right now.
Well, I think that's the wonderful thing, though. Besides obviously Karl Strauss, who does multiple collaborations because they put on this event every year, we've expanded and done. So this year we did 5 different collaborations. Last year we only did 3. I think the majority of our brewery friends have done multiple collaborations, so they're not just showing up to the dance with just one collab. They've done at least 2, if
It's
not
not,
more
oh,
than that.
you pouring a core beer plus your collab. It's like I'm only pouring collab beers.
Right.
And also
Right.
I have collabs at other people's booths, too. It's
Yeah.
Right.
No.
spread
You
it
can
out.
kind of tell them where it's at. Like, oh, you should go check.
You're not
out.
really going to find core beers. You know, if you
No,
want core
I hope
beers,
not.
you go to their brewery or you go to like the Tornadoes and stuff like
There's
Or
a
that.
you,
reason
or you
this
just
has
come there
been-
early and we'll be drinking them out of the cooler.
There's a reason it's been selected as the best beer festival by whatever the magazine is.
West Coaster.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you're not just going there and getting your standards.
No.
It's an exciting trial period,
And like Jay said, you're being poured beers by the brewers and owners,
which is so
and-
rare. It's usually a sales rep or even like just people, volunteers.
Yeah, just volunteers or somebody who, don't get me wrong, people who work in our tasting rooms, and I love
Kill
everybody
it.
that works in my tasting
They're
room are
great.
amazing people, and they work my festivals are amazing people. Thank you to all of them. But this festival is literally manned by brewers, owners, people, the upper echelon of people. You can walk down that row and you're gonna meet everybody.
You're going to
who's
meet
in
the
for-
Tommy Arthur.
It's
You're
going
gonna
to
meet
take you
Tommy
an hour
Arthur.
to walk down the row because you're going to hug everybody you
Yeah,
meet.
Yeah.
It's only the 3rd year, and it's become the best festival in San Diego.
Well, it's a great concept.
All right, so there's another thing that's cool. All the proceeds from this event go to support the San Diego Brewers Guild,
Nice.
which, helps us all out. Helps market all the breweries in San Diego. Helps
Helps
rise
get
that-
laws changed as needed.
there's the
Thank
lobbying
you. Yeah,
efforts.
bring
all
up
sorts of
bring up
stuff, yeah.
Sacramento, and because that's where they like to hang out,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
We have a mutual understanding at the
Yes.
table. All right, moving it on.
So, Karl Strauss puts on the event, but all the proceeds go to the San Diego Brewers Guild, and we're psyched about that.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for Karl Strauss.
Yeah. 30
Yeah.
years.
30 years.
Madness.
Rising
It's-
tide floats all boats.
How happy were you after the first Collabapalooza? I remember I saw you guys running around, not
I was
expecting what it was
worried.
going to be.
I was
and
scared. I was worried. I'm like, who's going to show up? Are people going to show up? Is this going to be okay? Like, we're really, kind of venturing out. And the first year went really well. And we said, we got to do this again. And then the second year went better. We're hoping the third year goes even better. I don't want to jinx it. I want to knock on wood right now. We're still having fun, and it's still like, I mean, the San Diego brewing scene, man, it's the coolest thing ever, right? I mean, everybody, all these cool, talented brewers, it's just, it blows my mind, you know? Yeah. I never envisioned it would become this really cool collaborative thing, man.
You never thought, like 20 years ago when we were just hanging out on Fifth Avenue,
right?
Like drinking beers.
Never thought
that it was ever going to be like this.
But it's cool.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's really blossomed.
It's insane.
You're a port city. That's a place where you would absolutely drink a macro lager and watch the sunset. And you're like, no. We're going to make them drink an IPA and watch the sunset.
Totally.
Yeah.
This
and
is
we're going to get them laid.
We're going to make them drink wild ales. Quicker.
Beer goggles. We're going to make them think they can dance.
Yeah. They're good rappers.
Yeah.
They're good singers,
right?
I can do all the things.
We're facilitators. Is
Shut
really
it down.
what we are.
Well, I'm pulling
free flow.
Are you pulling it out?
Yeah.
Wait,
I know it's going to take about 20 minutes. We're just going to cut it off. We've gone too far.
Apologies.
Okay. So besides Collabapalooza, what do you got up your sleeve here at Karl Strauss, Paul?
Oh, man. What don't we? There's so much going on. Collabapalooza for us, I mean, that's not the only time of year that we collaborate. We're always...
There's times when you're stopping. There's times when you're listening. So it's the whole thing.
And I'm like the R&D guy, so I'm constantly pushing the envelope and doing crazy stuff. And, you know, I mean, Doug's doing the same thing at Thorn. For us, I think we feel there's still a lot of music that needs to come out that hasn't come out yet. I think with a lot of brewers, there's this thing, like you just need to, I don't know, push the envelope. Just keep creating and,
push the envelope,
trying to redefine what beer is and trying to reach people that haven't been reached yet and, you know, and continue having fun, you know. You kind of stumped me with that question, but we are going to continue doing what we've done for 30 years and just try to pioneer and try to push the envelope and try to have fun and, you know,
and maintain the standard of quality while doing so.
You know, I think one of our core values is just make people happy one beer at a time. So we're just trying to stoke people out, whatever that is, man, you know, whether it's beers that make people feel comfortable like Red Trolley or beers that people haven't had yet, like Countess Sparkula or whatever. Just keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah. What about you guys at Thorn? What do you guys got going on besides this Collabapalooza in the coming weeks? People you're excited about?
We got a few things.
I noticed on your website you guys do a lot of events.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, we got a few pokers in the fire. Obviously, you know, coming in after Collabapalooza, it goes into San Diego Beer Week, and one of the funnest 10 days in San Diego. We as a brewery have taken on over the last few years, kind of taken on a philosophy when it comes to San Diego Beer Week that we like to do these big, huge, fun events. We don't like to spread it out. We're kind of over, no offense to anybody, but we're kind of over just like the tap takeover pint nights at any particular account.
I don't think Jay sleeps for literally 10 days.
I don't know.
He does.
I think he does a lot of cocaine.
I know.
Yeah.
5-hour energy.
5-hour energies and cigarettes, man.
Sales reps on Beer Week is insane. It's nuts to see what they do. It's like, I'm going to do 5 events tonight. What?
Yeah. So we
I gotta shake hands. I gotta say hello. I gotta explain things. I gotta take off.
Speedballs and Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you circle back to the same location? Just like stay for 10 minutes, go and just work your way back and back and back.
I try to get like 2 beers and a shot at each location, and then I go. That's typically my philosophy.
That's about right.
Yeah.
From what I know from sales reps.
So when talking about San Diego Beer Week, though, I really do want to highlight and emphasize one really killer event that we're doing. We're doing a bunch of them this year, obviously, but we do this thing called Hops and Jackpots. It's at Sequan Casino, which is in kind of the East County. This is going to be on Thursday, November 7th, so hopefully this podcast will be out by then. And watching Paul play a little air guitar, I like that.
We got fog hat going.
Basically, we got 7 different breweries participating this year in our Hops and Jackpots. We have Ruler, or Roulier, as it's written on paper.
Ruler.
Second Chance, we have
Amplified. Français.
Second Chance, great for jackpots.
Yeah.
Ruler.
Second Chance, we have Amplified Ale Works, which is some of our really closest friends. Fall Brewing Company.
Fale.
We have Burning Beard. And we have, why am I not thinking of the 7th one?
Dougie Fresh, bring it in.
I know you have no idea, do you?
I don't know this list.
Oh, shoot. Fall Burning Beard. Society this year we brought in.
Oh.
So basically,
easy to forgettable.
Societe, I
That's
believe.
the other Dougie Fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically what we do is we have shuttles that will take you literally to the casino that night, picking up at the different taste rooms and breweries around the county. We go out there, we have a poker tournament, we do a blackjack tournament, we got food, we drink beers, we have a good time, good laughs. So I'm really, really stoked on that one. It's an event, so.
Which style of poker?
What's up?
Which style of poker or style?
Oh, it's Hold'em. It's a Hold'em tournament.
I thought
it's a Hold'em tournament. So.
All right, all's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Got to pee.
That's fine. We're about to leave.
Yeah, we're done.
I got to pee.
And I got to smoke.
We all got to do the
Just
thing.
go.
All right, so
Just go.
let's just
We
wrap
all
it up.
have habits.
We're gonna where can people find you online if they want to learn more? Karl Strauss, go.
KarlStrauss.com.
Thorn Brewing, go.
Thorn.beer.
Thorn.beer. Great. All right. That's been
Beer.
episode 112 of Barley. This has been Paul Segura.
Also,
find Dougie at Pornhub.
real fast.
Say it. He needs to pee. What are you doing? We're all peeing.
Follow the Wart Wrangler on Instagram because it's fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Nobody
Use the
knows.
F word.
Secret identities. No one will be revealed. All right. This has been episode 112 of Barley Me with Paul Segura from Karl Strauss Brewing. Thanks so much.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Doug Pominville from Thorn Brewing.
Thank you.
And Jay Jones from
Hey,
Thorn
that's
Brewing.
me.
Thanks for listening.
That's him.
Get home safe. We did it.
We got through it.
Good podcast, guys.